all of a sudden, news comes across. 49ers sent a 6th-round pick in 2024 to the Broncos for Randy Gregory and a 7th-round pick in 2024. Denver pays the remaining $10.9 million on his deal this season. Niners only pay the veteran minimum of $840K. And all of a sudden, I'm like, wow, Gregory's here, and he's got 3 years left on his deal, coach. No remaining guaranteed money, so he can walk away at the end of this year. The Niners owe him nothing. He did pass his physical. Shanahan said that he wouldn't play on Sunday, but then kind of left the door open. They made the corresponding move as they cut Kerry Hyder, who led the Niners in sacks in 2020 and could play inside, could play outside. But coach, I'll tell you, to me, this is not a surprise. I did a video on this earlier in the week saying they should go in this direction and should sign Gregory. I've been talking about this as a problem spot since the end of camp. But the number that jumps out is Drake Jackson, who's a great guy. I love Drake. But Drake, Kerry Hyder, and Cleveland Farrell had combined, the three of those guys combined only had 8 quarterback hits in 243 pass rush snaps. To put that in perspective, Randy Gregory has half that many by himself. He's got 4 quarterback hits in 73 total pass rush snaps. So they were not hitting the quarterback outside of Bosa from the defensive end spot, and they had to get more quality depth. They do have $40 million in cap room, but this was just like the steal of steals when you look at this trade.
Right. The rich keep getting richer, man. Usually I love to come in here and greet you with a nice gut punch so we can get going, but it seems like we're on the same page today, Larry. This was a good pick. This is a good pickup. And we touched on this in the last show, if you don't remember, where we talked about what did the Niners need juxtaposed to last touches on this team, right? What are we going to take into presumably the postseason, into our Super Bowl run, right? That's what we're charting this team out to do for the season. And there was a lot of rumblings on us getting like the sexy names, like the Brian Burnses were out there. And there are some other guys that
They're
possibly
still out there.
Yeah, they are. They are. Not only what's my boy's name out of the Giants? I really liked him. 99. That's not
You talking about Leonard
Lawrence
Williams?
Leonard Williams.
He's an inside guy, or they also have Kayvon Thibodeau and Akeem
Mhm.
Ojulari or Aziz Ojulari.
But when we last talked, we both kind of settled on the fact that the Niners didn't need a splash guy. We needed a starter, right? Not a superstar, right? We needed somebody to actually come in and to be able to have a package set up for them. All told, what are we doing? What are we really going to be asking Randy Gregory to do? Play 30 snaps. That's pretty much going to be like the heaviest load that he's going to get in the game, right? 30 snaps, give us everything you got. And another guy, history repeats itself. We do this all the time. I mean, maybe Randy is a little bit more longer in the tooth. He's in his 30s. He's actually working on his second contract that he just got bought out from. But it's carbon copy, Cleveland Farrell, Arden Key, like we're bringing in these guys, Charles Omenihu, we're going to bring in Randy Gregory, and he's going to be able to get a lot of load taken off of him, and he's going to be asked to purely rush the passer. Now, he's going to be asked to be a football player first. We all know that. But for what he's bringing us on the defensive end position, like it's the perfect move for us, because I don't want to see that money get spent. I don't want to see that. I want to be able to see that draft capital. I mean, not the draft capital, but the cap capital that we have. I want to see that carry into next year, because we got bigger fish to fry with actually keeping this roster together. And I think this is the first year we actually have a full complement of picks as well. So we're gonna need the money to be able to save to sign those guys. Yeah. Hello.
Well, no, I was just the chat saying something about Jonathan Taylor. Did Jonathan Taylor get moved this morning?
I don't know. I haven't been. Me and you were fighting traffic to get here.
Let me just double check that out. It seems like there's an awful lot of chat about Jonathan Taylor in our chat right here.
All right, I'm about to look right now. Jonathan Taylor.
They activated him. There's a lot of speculation that he was going to be moved. I mean, the Gregory thing is just such a no-brainer because I mean, look at it this way, Coach. The
Hmm.
Niners may if the Niners get what they want, which is to win the Super Bowl, they
Right.
will pick dead last in the end of the sixth round.
Hmm.
Denver is winless and easily could be one of the five worst teams in the NFL at the end of the season. They could be the worst team in the NFL, really. I mean, record
Hmm.
wise, but they're
Right.
almost a lock to be one of the five worst teams. So at the end of
Right.
the day, look what the Niners basically moved back in the sixth round. Is whatever, maybe one spot, maybe five spots, probably at most 10 spots, and
Hmm.
for their effort got Randy Gregory, who with Dallas in 2021 had 6 sacks. He's looking for kind of a career rejuvenation. I mean, the Bronco thing
Hmm.
did not go well. Um, I love it. The reason I love it is because he's a true speed rusher. And if you've got Bosa who commands doubles,
Hmm.
and then you've got Hargrave and Armstead inside, one of those guys will command a double on almost every snap. So
Right.
if you can put an ideal outside guy opposite that, you want a guy who can really bend the edge and stretch out that offensive line. And
Hmm.
that's what Gregory can do. He can bend the edge, and now you've got more room for the Greenlaws and the Warners to shoot gaps on potential blitzes, and there's just more room in there, and it puts a lot more pressure on an offensive line when you have guys that command doubles, and then you got a speed rusher. I mean, it's kind of like, is Hassan Reddick? Does anybody really believe that Hassan Reddick is like super super special? I don't. I just think that he wound up on a Philly line that had great players all throughout it that needed to be doubled. You had to double Hargrave, you had to double Fletcher at times, and I just think that he's the super speed rusher on that loaded front. Well, in a lot of ways, Gregory just has to be a speed rusher because if he can speed rush off the edge and the just with the other talent the Niners have on that D line, that's going to be incredible. But looking at Drake and Farrell and Hyder, that was what they really struggled with. They were actually
Hmm.
decent against the run, but they just struggled to get around the edge. And it's like now you get a guy, it doesn't cost you money, it doesn't cost you draft capital. And if you want to turn around in a week or two and trade for a Patrick Surtain, you can if you want. If you want to go get Jonathan Taylor, you could if you want, and roll over. I mean, they've got 40 something $1 million of cap room, and I agree. John Lynch has already said, "Hey, we want to roll it over."
Yeah.
But it wouldn't
It gets
cost
us out of
you.
so much trouble, Larry. Like,
Yeah, I mean, and they will
I,
roll it over, but there's
right.
nothing wrong with rolling over 36 million or something like that and spending four on another guy that helps you win the Super Bowl this year. We'll see. I mean, they have ultimate flexibility now with this move, Coach. So let me ask you, because the problem with Gregory, the elephant in the corner of the room, is that he's been suspended 4 times due to violations of the league's substance abuse policy. He's obviously had a history of suspensions in his career. Um, Heck, he went in the second round of the draft when he probably was more of a first round talent
Hmm.
because of problems off the field. Shanahan was asked about it and whether they look into that. And he says, yeah, you look into all that stuff always, but you always judge a guy when you get to know him, and it's our first time to do it. But there's also a lot of people I know really well that speak extremely highly of him, and it's very consistent. So I'm excited about the person we got, the character of the guy, from what I've been told from everyone who knows him, and we love the tape. I know he has messed up at times in the past, but from the type of person I've been told that he is, we're really excited to have him here. So it sounds like there's no direct relationship between Shanahan and Gregory, which is not surprising. But
Yeah, I mean, what are you supposed to say? This is
well, it's
you
true.
know, What are you supposed to say? It's like, oh yeah, we're worried about him possibly hurting the locker room when he comes in because of his history, but we really signed him because he's the best for right now, not for the future. Like nobody's gonna say that. He's gonna say what he needs to say. Yeah, Randy has a history, and quite frankly, the trajectory of his career would be kind of different if he didn't have that off-field history, right? But styles make fights, and this is what we need him for. We need an ad hoc uh third party contractor, if you will. We're outsourcing an issue that we need, right? We did the say a la Emmanuel Sanders, right? A la Charles Minihue. Let's just hope that he sticks, right? Because then you have guys like Charles Minihue, where Charles came here, but he found a team when he came here. He was very superfluous about his praise of the locker room, the culture, the coaching, the knowledge of football that he was getting, the change in his career, how he felt more empowered by being actually coached hard and being consulted with. And don't quote me on this, but I do remember just off the top of my head now I'm talking about it. He did bring up a point, probably I think in last year's training camp, where it was kind of like the first time he had a chance to speak to the media since he had been traded midseason. And he brought up flatly, man, I wish I would have came here in the beginning of my career. I would be, it would be completely different for me had I come here in the beginning of my career. Right. So uh we've got a good locker room. One of the things that does travel with us across the league is the fact that we do have a good culture, and there's a lot of pros and there's a lot of men in the locker room, right? Who come from all different walks of life. We got Ivy Leaguers in the locker room. We got guys from Iowa. We got boys from Texas. We got boys from Florida and South Carolina. We got California boys. So if you can't get ingratiated into this type of locker room, then, it ain't going to happen for you nowhere. But at the same time, let's just hope that we get the ring before we even have to find that out. And you never know. It may be a good story where Randy may come here and say, you know what? This is a fit. I'm tired of bouncing around. I got two bags, got paid out. And this is a winning team where I can go ahead and just put myself in a nice role here where they're not really asking me to be the tip of the spear. They're just asking me to hold down a use case, hold down a position that needs to happen on this defense for everything else to flourish. And I feel, and in a way, that's kind of what Javon Hargraves is here for, right? It's like, hey, man, you got your bag, come in here and play around all of these great players and just do what you do well. Right. We're not going to have that. We're not going to have you out in space asking you to do things that is, pretty much a business decision and wear and tear on your body. And that's why I think that veterans of like a Randy Gregory's ilk do better here, because they come here and they already know that they're coming to a coaching staff who pretty much understands where they are in their career and what needs to be asked of them. I mean, even with D4 being hurt, right? His progression and his time here, he got every chance in the world. He got every contingency and all the respect of a veteran who's coming in here to play a role. He's trying to make his way on the field. And eventually it never really happened, but just how his stay happened here, you could tell that, that could be Randy Gregory. That could be him coming in here and understanding his role and understanding the fact that his role is nowhere near as laborious as would it be if he was on another team getting much more money. So it could work out for both sides.
I mean, he's in the catbird seat. Every defensive end in the world should want to play on this line in his spot. This is a dream spot. When I asked Drake about being in this spot in camp, he's like, I said, how do you feel about being the starter opposite Bosa on this line? He's like, blessed. I feel blessed. This is the blessed
He
spot.
gets it.
Well, I mean, and Randy Gregory's going to produce. I have no doubt in my mind, because that's what the guy does, and he's going to get one-on-ones and he's going to win.